All right, so we're going to jump in today and we're going to talk about how to find deals in a hot market, right? Because this is really important, especially in this climate that we're in. And not sure where you're from, but basically all across North America, it's a hot market. Now, there are some pockets where it's not as hot, and but this information will still apply to that. But I get so many people saying, I can't find a deal. It's a hot market. Even when even when real estate investors are in a regular market, even in a down market, people will struggle how to find great deals, especially no money down deals, right? How do you do that? And so today we're going to dive into the whole idea of finding properties that are off market, even in a hot market. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do today. So, as you're going about listening to this, just uh, write some questions in there, and but be specific about your question, because the lag behind this is a couple minutes, plus that I'm going to go through the content and then I will respond to the questions. So when you write a comment and question, which I hope you do, just be specific about your question so I know what you're referring to, and then I'll do my best to answer it. So, yeah, so how do you find deals in a hot market? I want to talk today about that, and especially in the climate where there's a lot of what's the word for it? Bidding wars, right? Showing and offer dates where it's like, hey, we're going to show the house for a week. You can't make any offers on it till Monday at 6 p.m. and that sort of thing, right? I want to show you how to avoid those, right? As an investor, I stay far away from those. Now, there might be the odd time that I would engage in writing an offer on an offers date, but for the most part, I don't. And you want to avoid that, because what you're doing is not only are you paying retail price, you're paying above retail price, right? I like paying wholesale prices and even less than that. So, yeah, so I'm going to talk about 3 ways today in which you can find these deals off market. So, if you're an active investor now and you're looking for deals, you'll often find that it's hard to find a deal if you're primarily looking on MLS, the multiple listing service with a realtor. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but those are retail prices for the most part. Can you find a wholesale deal on the MLS? Absolutely. But you've got to know exactly your numbers so that when you see a deal, and know your market, so that when you see a deal, you can act on it just like that, right? So that is possible. I've done it on the MLS in a hot market. And but for the most part, I spend my time looking at properties typically off market, whether that is working with a distressed seller, or I've got a couple of realtors that I work with, and they will, shoot me a text with a pocket listing. So that a pocket listing is an MLS deal before it hits the live market. So basically, you get exclusive eyes on the property, and if you can act quick and come to terms with the seller, then you can go quickly on purchasing that. All right. So what I want to do is dive into the first way that you can find a deal in a hot market. And that is finding what I call FSBOs. Everybody calls it that, FSBOs, for sale by owner, as well as for rent by owner, right? So these are people, especially the for sale by owner. These are people that for whatever reason are choosing not to use a realtor. Why? I don't know. And there's lots of reasons why. I mean, I've seen people who just think that they can get more money for their property without using a realtor, or they don't want to have open houses, or sometimes people just don't like working with realtors. I don't know what it is, but it is. And so those people are a gift to us because we can often be exclusive buyers on those properties. And so obviously, there's driving for dollars, and some of this stuff you'll know, but I hope that even if this is a common thing, that you'll find some tidbits in here that you can apply to what you're doing. And so, driving for dollars, looking for distressed properties, looking for the signs, for sale by owner, that sort of stuff. Some of the telltale signs on properties that are distressed are, severely overgrown lawns, but unattended to yards, like years of disrepair. The house looks like in disrepair. A great one is shingles that are curling up, depending on where you're at and if they use asphalt singles or whatever. Shingles, not singles, shingles. Say that with me now, shingles. And so that's partly what I do. And so what I will also do, I will call these people up, and I've got a script that I go through with these people, because you gotta have them warm up to you, and you gotta really develop a relationship with them. And so what I found time and time again, when I use my script calling for sale by owners and for rent by owners, and I can actually have a meeting on the property, is that I can build rapport, not with everybody, but what I like to do is build rapport enough with people that in their minds they go, okay, I think I found my buyer. I'm going to work with you, and I'm not going to talk to anybody else. And I've had many sellers tell me that in past when I've purchased their properties. You go, I knew after our second meeting, Cam, that I was going to sell to you. And unpacking that, it's like they just mentally made up their mind that, hey, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. I can trust him. Let's work out a deal because he's solving my headache. And that's really what you're doing, is you're solving people's headaches. And so you might say, well, even in a hot market when homes have multiple bids, all that sort of stuff, can you find these properties? Absolutely. They are out there. You just got to find them, right? So that is what's key. Okay, so that's the first way. If you have any questions about that, just write them in the comments, about FSBOs, FSBO. The second way is, for lack of better word, is networking. So what I mean is that you are out there and you are rubbing shoulders with other people, and maybe it's just virtually, and that's fine too. But you're connecting with people who, know exactly what you're doing, right? So you've got your elevator pitch nailed down, so short and so sweet that people catch your attention, or that what you say catches people's attention so that they remember you, right? And so oftentimes I've got people that will email me, message me, whatever, that says, hey, my cousin's neighbor's trying to sell his place and it's in rough shape, and he's looking for someone to buy it. Can you help him? Like, this literally happens on a regular basis. Not that exact model, but stuff like that, where so-and-so of a friend selling a property, and lots of times I can't help them. But what I do is I do follow through with that, and if we can structure a deal, and that's great. And so, like I said, I've got, because I've been active, and I close on deals, and I take action and actually make offers, right? Because you can look at 100 properties and not make an offer on one of them. And the people that you got involved in those 100 properties are going to say, you know what, I'm not going to reach out to that person again, because they wanted to see the house 3 different times. They never wrote an offer. Even if it's a ridiculous offer, you can apologize and say, you know what, I know this is a ridiculous offer, but this is what I can do. This is the numbers work. And I'll show you why. I can actually show you why my offer is this low in order for me to actually make some money doing this. So it's important that you take action and make offers on these properties, because that's when people will come back to you again and again and again, right? And so just an example on these two, just in November, right? So 6 months ago. So our market's been hot here for probably 14 months, I would say, where, there's not a lot of inventory. There's a lot of buyers. Mortgage rates are low. And so there's a supply and demand issue. There's a lot less properties for sale than there are purchasers. So that creates that demand. So it's a seller's market, and meaning that every house should have a ton of people interested in it, but obviously only one can buy it. Whereas a buyer's market is where a buyer will go, I like your house, but there's five others just like it for a lower price. So I'm going to go look at those other five, and then I might come back to you, right? That's a buyer's market. Currently, when it's a hot market, and maybe where you are, it's a hot market, it's you got more buyers than they have sellers. So back in November, and the reason why I'm going down this road is because people will say, well, I can't find a deal in this climate, in this market. So November, I had a realtor reach out to me and said, "Hey Cam, I got some properties that you might be interested in." So it was a whack of properties, like almost a dozen from one seller. I think half of them were vacant. So this was a distressed seller, and what I like to call these sellers is a tired and frustrated landlord, right? And what I mean by that is a landlord who is any number of reasons kind of done with the property, and they're done with dealing with tenants, and they can't sell, or they don't have the energy to sell, or any number of reasons. But there's tired and frustrated landlords all over the place. I'll go a little bit into that in just a minute. So the realtor gives me the addresses of these properties and doesn't really have a price. But we find out that, the landlord's not really involved in the properties. We actually found out later in our due diligence that there was fires in three of them, and the owner didn't know. Right? This is a tired and frustrated landlord. So we start working the numbers back and forth. And so if you know a little bit about what I do, I love doing no money down deals, right? So either I'll work with an investor to purchase a property, and so for me that's a no money down deal, and we partner up on this house, or I find a tired and frustrated landlord. They hold the mortgage, but then I now control it through paperwork, right? So that's a no money down deal. I get a house, and I can get it quickly with and then I can start cash flowing from the property. So we worked really hard, myself and the realtor, to find out whether or not he would be open to doing essentially no money down deals, where it's like, okay, I'll take control of the properties right now, and I'll purchase them off of you in 1, 2, or 3 years at X price that we agree upon today. So the reason why I like doing that is because it's no money down, right? So I can acquire all these properties with basically $100 check per property, and then I control the deal, and then I can flip it. I can put a tenant into it. I can do any number of things. So we found out that this guy was actually quite sick, and he just wanted to wrap his real estate portfolio up, and he was not interested in holding the mortgages or doing any vendor take back finance. So we offered this guy a cash deal, and he rejected our first offer. In fact, he didn't even respond. So we waited, I don't know, I can't remember. We waited a while, and then my realtor contacted him back. And so long and short of it, we picked up these properties at probably about 35 cents on the dollar, meaning that we bought them 35 cents on the dollar if compared to what they would be fixed up. And so that's a huge discount, right? When you buy a turnkey property, you're buying it basically 100 cents on the dollar. You're paying dollar per dollar, but I got like a 65 cent discount on every dollar So per property. So if the place was worth 100 grand, I essentially paid 35 grand for it, right? So reason why I'm telling you this is because, hot market. This is November. There's still multiple offers on places, and was able to pick up these homes like that. So how did I get that? Well, just to recap, I'm actively doing this. I'm taking action. I am working with a couple different realtors that are feeding me properties. Other people know I'm a buyer, and so when this deal came, we took action on it, and we responded, found out what the owner's needs were, and we were able to close very quickly. Once we finally agreed on the purchase price, we were able to close within a week. Our lawyers worked very hard, but we had cash to put down with them, and we're able to close lickety split. So the seller really liked that, and that was motivating for him. All right, so that is really reason number two, and that or the second way that you can find deals in the hot market is networking, right? So if you're on any Facebook groups or anything else like that, there are people who are active. They got wholesale deals. Communicate with them, let them know, get out there and rub shoulders with people. Find active realtors who are into real estate investing themselves, because they will know how to work with these sellers. And yeah. And so the third one, which is most important, right? So the first one was contacting for rent by owners and for sale by owners. The second one was networking, and virtually networking, as well as rubbing shoulders with people, knocking on doors, looking at homes, making offers, finding other buyers and other sellers, and just doing that. The third one is so key, because without the third one, might as well not even do number one, number two. Any guess what that is? I've said it already a couple times, but it's taking action, right? And so when I talk about calling for rent by owners and for sale by owners, I mean, for some of you, a calling for a rent by owner who's got their place listed for rent, but then saying, hey, would you be interested in selling your property, right? For some of you, that's going to be no big deal. Sure, give me the phone, let me make some calls. For others, that's going to be like, are you kidding me? I'm going to phone people, and I'm going to, people who are just want to rent their properties, and I'm going to ask if they want to sell. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So, but what often people will do is they will say, yeah, I'll give it a try. And they'll try it for a day or maybe a week. And then they'll say, they won't get any positive feedback. And then they'll say, well, that didn't work. Well, think back to when you were 12 months old. The first time you tried walking, did you get up and walk right away? Nope. How long did it take you? I mean, when I think about my kids, that's a couple years back, but it didn't happen overnight. And they had it, my kids had it modeled to them, because they saw me and my wife, Holly. And then, for my firstborn, he saw us. For our second and third born, they not only saw us, but they saw their older siblings all walking. So they had a coach and mentor built into the house, where it's like, okay, how's that guy doing that? How's he moving around? Like, ooh, that looks like freedom to be able to walk like that. But you kept on going, right? When you learn how to walk, you kept on trying. You are going to fall over. You're going to hit your butt. You're going to hit your head. You're going to walk into stuff you didn't know you could walk into. And you might even draw some blood. That's okay. That's how you learn. That's how you learn how to walk. And it's the same thing with finding a house and a deal in a hot market, is that you gotta take those steps. You gotta take the action, and you're going to get some bruises, and you're going to get some words spoken to you that you don't like. And you're going to get, you're probably not going to draw blood. So that's a good sign, right? But you got to take action, and repeated action, and keep on going until you get a deal done, right? Because the worst is when you see other people going before you and successfully doing deals like this, and then you do it, or you try to do it, but then you give up. That's not good. You don't want to give up, right? I don't know who says it, but they say uh, you're not a failure unless you quit, right? And you keep on going. You keep on going until you get that deal done, right? Because otherwise, and I've seen this with lots of people who have quote unquote tried doing real estate investing, and they're like, yeah, that was a scam. That big coaching program across Canada that, they bought a package of courses and I bought it and I didn't get any deals. Okay. So how many offers did you write? Like one or two. And oftentimes people will say, I didn't write any offers, right? It's like, okay, well then, did you try to do any private sales? Like, yeah, I tried that. All right, cool. How many times did you try? About 3 times. And, so there's a pattern here. And it's just like, like walking, or if you want to do weight gain through, lifting weights or weight loss, right? You can't try it haphazardly over the course of a week or two, or even 3 months, right? You try to pump iron, Tuesday morning, Saturday afternoon. Next week it's Saturday afternoon. Next week it's Thursday. Then you miss a week. What sort of results do you think you're going to get if you're trying to build muscle mass with that pattern and that sequence, right? And that's honestly what people do. It doesn't matter if it's real estate investing or if it's any other business or hobby that you're trying to turn into a business. You've got to have regular, consistent action, right? Where you know what your goal is, and then you go at it and you set a schedule. I mean, there's got to be some flex in that, but you know that minimum you're doing this 3 to 4 times a week minimum. And you got to keep doing that for, until you get that first deal done. Keep working at it till you get that first deal done. And that's the key. Forget about making any phone calls. Forget about, networking. If you're not going to take action, run the numbers, make offers, you're not going to find success. And so for me, these are the tools that I use to find deals in hot markets, and they're still out there, right? Working on one right now. It's an off-market deal, and it's a hot market, so they are there. But you gotta keep active and look at them. Are there any questions on number 2, which is networking, working with realtors, or my example that I showed you about the package of homes? Just write them in the chat. And any questions about taking action? What's your experience with taking action? Do you find that you are good at taking action, or is it something that you need to improve on? Please just put it in the comment section there. I'd love to hear your comments on that. So I want to talk a little bit more about the whole tired and frustrated landlord, right? So I work with 2 different types of investors. I think maybe I said this already, but let me recap. I work with working professionals who've got money for down payment and can qualify for another mortgage. And we work together, and I find the house and they purchase the house and they get a great return on it. They love it because it's a turnkey, hands-free. They're not involved in the property. I am, and they get a great return. Okay. That's not what we're talking about today, but that's an important piece. That's one type of investor. The other is what I call tired and frustrated landlords. Now, this is an untapped market because there's tons of people out there on this model, working on joint ventures, finding investors, working on using other people's money, and there's still lots of room for it. There's lots of people out there who need that and want it. So that's awesome. And I still do that. But I also have found this niche of the tired and frustrated landlord. And so, how I stumbled upon that was about 10, maybe 11 years ago. I had already done a bunch of no money down deals where I had essentially friends and family had bought houses, and and put them into my rent-to-own program. And then I found out about this landlord in my city that I'd heard of but never met. He had like 80 doors, or that was the rumor. He had 80 doors. And when you're starting out, you've got, 2 or 7 doors. Someone who's got 80 doors, like, wow, this is a god, little g, god. But so I heard about this guy, and I found a property, actually, I think it was on Facebook or Craigslist or something, and saw that he's looking to sell it or something, and it looked distressed. So long story short, reached out to him, got a meeting with him, and I structured a no money down deal with him. Basically, I used my contracts and a check for $100, and I got control of this property. And so that worked out well. I actually did some renos in it, and then I put a tenant buyer in there who had some money to put down and could pay above market rents. Great strategy. But before I actually got to that point, it was only about 5 days later, after I initially signed the paperwork with his tired and frustrated landlord. He texts me and says, "Hey, I've got 3 more properties similar to the one that we just did this deal on. Are you interested?" It's like, yes, I'm very interested. I tried not to be too excited for him, but I was very interested. And so I locked down those deals. So long story short on that, dude, I over the course of the next couple of years, I think I did 21 properties with him, all with $100 each, right? So I spent $2,100 securing these 21 properties. Some of them I flipped, some of them didn't need any work, some of them I just wholesaled, and some of them I just put, I did a whole bunch of different things with these properties. But then he would tell some friends, and there's tired and frustrated landlords everywhere. And so what I want to show you is, let's see here if I can share my screen with you. So I've got an ebook that you can have for free. So hopefully you can see this. This is a guide to tired and frustrated landlords. And this is, like I said before, an untapped market, because you look at, forget about my story. Think about all of the boomers, right? The baby boomers who have, most of them have retired, but now they're starting to look at their rental portfolios of 2, 5, 10 properties, and they're looking for a solid exit strategy, because half the time the boomers' kids don't want to take over, mom and dad's headache properties, because they were at home when all the tenants called, and when dad had to run out at midnight to flush or to, stop the water leak in the basement, or get the furnace working in the middle of winter, all that sort of stuff, right? I've seen it in families where they're like, I don't want any of those properties and I don't want to do it myself. Well, that's where we come along, because we can help these boomers with their properties, and we can be the solution to how they exit out of them, right? Because if you just put a for sale sign up in front of a rented property, probably one of 2 things will happen. Either the tenant will just go, I'm out of here. Now you got a vacant property, so you're bleeding. Or they become difficult to work with, and it's hard to get into the show to realtors or to prospective buyers, all that sort of stuff. So I came up with this based on my own experience, a guide to tired and frustrated landlords. And basically, I go much deeper into what I was talking about today, and I give you some practical things that you can do to find these tired and frustrated landlords. So let me just get the link for this, and I will give it to you. And then I'll go to your questions. So I see there's a couple there, and I will get back to them real quick here. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to dump this into the comment section. And there it is. So you just go there and you can download your free copy of this 12-page ebook that I created. So, all right, let me jump into a couple of questions. Chunji, thanks for your questions. Sheetal, good to see you as well. Shanti asks, what is the script like? So I think you're referring to my script that when I'm talking to for sale by owners and for rent by owners. Yeah. So it's basically a script. So it's in my course, and basically what it is it's a detailed script of how I move one of these for sale by owners and or for rent by owners from the initial hello all the way through the steps of finding out about the property. Like basically what it is to help you not kill the deal. Because so often what people will do, and I've done this, especially when I started out, you can kill the deal, you can kill the potential of a deal just by asking too deep of a question too quickly, right? Because they're thinking they want to sell it, and or rent it, and you're saying, well, can I buy it off of you? It's like, well, what I found is that there's a sequence of questions to get there. So it's a script I developed in my course. I also have done it live, so I've recorded it, and you can hear me live actually calling for rent by owners and for sale by owners. So that's what the script is like. Basically, it's easy enough to create. You just need the experience to go through it, and yeah. So where do you go to find for sale by owners? Yes, great question. So it's all the places that I mentioned. Networking, it's Craigslist, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, wherever you're at. Some smaller regions will have a smaller platform that's really popular in that neighborhood. I think, for example, in the Okanagan Valley, they've got Castanet or something like that. Whereas, across the country, like, what's that, right? But, and some pockets, like I know pockets of other pockets of BC, Craigslist is really popular, but across the rest of Canada, Kijiji is popular, all that sort of stuff. So, but I also have got posts that I create, and I'll post in different groups that will attract, excuse me, that will attract these tired and frustrated landlords or distressed sellers, if you will. And it's a sequence of doing all these things on a regular basis that, because you can't just put up one ad and expect you're going to close on a deal, right? You got to do all these things and then do it consistently. So that's where I find the for sale by owners, the for rent by owners, the distressed sellers, and the tired and frustrated landlords. And like I said, people will bring people to me all the time. So, all right. Well, hey, if there's any other quick questions, just dump them in there. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback. And let's see here. So, if you've got those, just put them in. As you know, this is a free group, and I love the interaction, not only here on the live, but also in our group, the Rent-to-Own Real Estate Investing group on Facebook. Hey, I want to get the word out. I'm talking specifically today about, finding properties that you can get a deal on in a hot market. So for me, I am always looking for deals that I can turn into rent-to-owns, right? It's a great strategy. And that's really what this group is about. Who do you know that needs to hear this video, or they need to be part of the Rent-to-Own Real Estate Investing group on Facebook? Would you please tag them in the group, or forward the link of the group to them, or this video, forward it to them and say, hey, you got to be part of this. There's great interaction with people all across the country, and you need to be part of it. So I would love it, and I'd appreciate if you could do that. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining in with me today. I hope you found some value, and take action. Have a great day. See ya.